Hey guys, Justin here. JMichael8787 on Twitter, J Squared Cards and more on Facebook. Just wanted to do a quick video here to kind of get the ball rolling on a couple videos I'm going to be doing. These are a little more time-consuming videos because I'm trying to make them a little bit more interesting than just kind of going through them for what they are. So earlier this week, I had bought around 60 to 65. There were some duplicates. I just kind of grabbed them all and bought them because the price was right. Basically ended up buying about 65 signed index cards. So basically these players range from, honestly, the 1920s up until about the 1970s, the majority of which are the 50s and 60s. So basically back in the older days, kind of like people have done with baseball, football, basketball, any type of sports cards, even 8x10s, baseballs. People send stuff to movie people, celebrities, government officials, everything for autographs. Basically, these would have been sent through the mail to get signed. So it's basically, you send it in a self-addressed stamped envelope, and you may give the player some money. I don't know how much of financially monetary money was exchanged back then for these. Most of these players have passed away, but anyhow, without further ado, I do want to get the video started. This is just part one of this. This is going to be a long, probably about 2 or 3 videos total. Definitely need the camera to focus good. So our first one here is Paul Erickson, and he played in the major leagues from 1941 to 1948. He was mostly with the Cubs, and he was born in 1915. He basically did, though, start out his baseball career in the minors in around 1937, and he actually had the nickname Lil Abner. So I don't know what that's all about, but that's a interesting nickname, I guess. Next up, we have Andy Etchebarren, and he played from 1962 to 1978, mostly with the Orioles. If you look up a photo of him, he has a really awesome unibrow. Not quite like Wally Moon, but he's rocking it pretty good. He is a 2-time All-Star, and he also was a 2-time World Series champion. Next up, we have Doug Adams, and he played 1 season with the Chicago White Sox, and he did have quite a few years in the minors. He was a catcher. His last season actually was in 1970, and he was playing in AAA, and he had a decent season. So I'm guessing he just, he either got cut or he may have just pursued a different career. At that time, he may have just ended up pursuing a different career. Alrighty, let's see if we can get it focused in here. Next, we have Joe Beggs, and he was a pitcher. He was born in 1910. His career, he went 48 and 35 with a 2.96 ERA. The majority of his career, he was with the Cincinnati Reds, and he actually was a World Series champion in 1940. Next up, we have Jack Cusick, and he played with basically the Cubs and the Boston Braves. He only played 2 seasons total between the 2 teams, so 1 season with the Cubs and 1 season with the Boston Braves. He has 2 MLB home runs, and his last home run, which was his second home run, was actually a grand slam. Next up, we have Dave Campbell, and he played from 1967 to 1974. He played with a few different teams. I actually identified his signature off of his 1971 Topps card. Sorry, guys. Oh. Well, there, you can kind of see it. But an interesting tidbit of information is after baseball, he actually ended up being an MLB announcer. And he is actually featured in several video games, most notably MLB The Show. Next up, we have Sam Esposito. And let's see if we can zoom in here just a little bit. Maybe there we go. That might actually work a little bit better in our favor. So Sam Esposito, he played from 1952 to 1963. All but one season was with the Chicago White Sox. After MLB, basically he was the head baseball coach for NC State. And oddly enough, he actually was an assistant coach on their basketball team the year that they won the national championship in 1974. That is off Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt, I guess, but that is kind of an interesting fact there. He did win a championship with their basketball team, so that's kind of neat. Next up, we have Elroy Face, and he was born in 1928. He mostly played with the Pirates. He played in some All-Star games, and he also was a World Series champion with them in 1960. With the Pirates, mostly he was playing with the Pirates, but he also did manage to play on the first season of the then Montreal Expos in 1969, and he ended up getting 5 saves that year with them. Alrighty, next up we have Bob Boyd. And this actually is a pretty cool one here. Bob Boyd was born in 1919. He did have a career in the Negro Baseball League. And before, basically from there, he signed with the Chicago White Sox. He was the first African-American baseball player to sign with the Chicago White Sox. In conjunction with that, he also was the first man in baseball for the Baltimore Orioles to reach the 300 batting average mark in the 20th century. And also, he was the first man to turn a opening day triple play. So he has some interesting statistics. Another thing that's kind of sad about him is, unfortunately, with the way times were back then, if you look at his statistics, I think had he gotten to play more of his prime years in the major leagues, he would have definitely had a really good shot at the Hall of Fame. Next up, we have Mike Andrews, and he was born in 1943. He played with 3 MLB teams, and he also played 1 season in the Japan Pro Baseball League. He was an All-Star and a World Series champion. He was an All-Star in 1969, and he won a World Series championship with the Oakland A's in 1973. Next up, we have Fred Bean. And he was born in 1942. He had a career with the Orioles, Yankees, and Indians. He was a relief pitcher. One interesting tidbit of information, though, with him was he was a scout for about 20 years with the Milwaukee Brewers. In 1983, he basically helped advise the Milwaukee Brewers in the 1983 amateur draft to end up selecting Jim Morris, who in 1999, basically he was playing with the Marlins then, but in 1999, Jim Morris was the inspiration behind the Disney movie The Rookie. Kind of an interesting fact there. Alrighty, and last but not least for right now, we have J.W. Moose Clawbaugh. So this is very interesting. This guy played in the minor leagues from 1923 to basically 1940. So spanning into World War II and just a little bit after World War I had ended. He did play for what was the Brooklyn Robins, who became the Brooklyn Dodgers, who then became the LA Dodgers. But an interesting fact, he did have 1 single RBI in baseball, but he batted .071, so he wasn't much of a hitter, but he did manage to stick around in the minor leagues for quite some time. anyhow, guys, I appreciate you watching the video. This was a lot of fun to do. I tried making it interesting, and I got probably another 30 of these, 30, 40 of these. I don't know how many duplicates I have. I know I at least got probably 10 to 12 duplicates, but there'll at least be another video or two on these. So thanks for watching. I'm always buying stuff like this, you know, whether it's cards, collectibles. So please go ahead and like. Please go ahead and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Join my Facebook group. And thanks for watching.